I've seen loads of music videos in my time as a teacher. Some of them are good, some of them are great, and some of them are amazing. So what I've done for anyone who's thinking about making a music video for their coursework is I've made this list of 8 do's and don'ts before you start production. Number 1, have a clear visual concept. Now the visuals of a music video don't necessarily need to directly complement the music. Andrew Goodwin argued that there are 3 different options in terms of the visuals. 1, they might illustrate or amplify what's being seen. So take a look at this example by John Mayer, Waiting on the World to Change. The meaning of the lyrics is very much about standing up to injustice, and we can see from the visuals those same kind of themes and messages being shown visually. Likewise, this classic Fatboy Slim song, Praise You, the visuals complement what we can hear. But then on the other hand, Goodwin argues that the visuals might contradict what we can hear in the lyrics. So here are a couple of examples where what we can hear in the song is actually contrasted with what we can see on the video.
Come on, baby. I'm in love with your body. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you.
Now this might be done for ironic purposes for the audience, or it might just be that they had a very specific style they wanted to achieve and decided to disregard the music. Number 2, I would seriously consider using narrative and performance in your music video. Now there are many different styles of music video. There's surrealism, there's concept, there's poetic. But broadly speaking, the ones that you're going to be most familiar with are the performance and the narrative. Performance videos are very much like they sound. So it is the artist performing their song to an audience, to the camera. It doesn't really matter. Here are a couple of examples.
See you standing over there with your body, feeling like I wanna rock with your body.
I'm gonna give it to you, gold jewelry shine.
And then on the flip side, we've also got narrative. This is where a story is being told over the course of the video.
I'm trying.
Now very often you'll get one or the other, but more often you'll actually get both.
Hello from the other side.
Now the reason I'm advising this in the context of this video is for students who are trying to get their best grade for their music video. And I've found in the past that I've marked some performance-based videos which kind of lack variety, and about halfway through it seems a little bit samey. And likewise, I've had a lot of problems with narrative videos where you don't necessarily get to see enough of the artist and you don't get to show off enough creativity. So for the purpose of a music video being made for coursework, show the examiner how great you are at doing both things, narrative and performance, and it gives you more things to kind of cut between. Which takes us very nicely to the third point. Use performing arts students. Now, although you're not really meant to mark a music video in media studies based on the performance, it's all about the technical stuff, I've seen some fantastic music videos which are kind of let down by people who are miming the words very unenthusiastically, probably because they're embarrassed or their heart just isn't in it. And likewise, I've seen some videos where the performances are so energetic and so real, it's almost the lasting memory you have of that video. So I would say, don't cast your best mate because they're always available. Try and cast someone who is not embarrassed or afraid to mime 100%. Number 4, if you go down the narrative route, don't be too complicated with your story. Now most music videos are 3 to 4 minutes, which might seem like a long time, but it's not really enough to allow for an epic storyline. So keep things simple. Boy and girl break up, they go in their separate directions and each find something that reminds them of the other, and they get back together by the end of the video. Nice and simple. Again, I've seen quite a few examples of videos which are so ambitious with their storytelling, when you try to compress it into that short space of time, you end up losing any sense of what it means. Number 5, and we're going to move on to some practical tips now. I'd recommend, if you're doing a performance-based video, to record the entire song twice. And you can use this almost as a base layer for the rest of your video. Now the reason I say this is I've had a lot of students who are trying to complete their video and they're just missing a few seconds here or a few seconds there. If you ensure you have got some type of performance from the start of the song to the very, very end, you know there are going to be no gaps. So really this acts as a safety net for the rest of your video. Number 6, get loads of B-roll. So when I say B-roll, I'm referring to additional shots, not necessarily things that you storyboarded, shots which were just taken on the day. Now, I'd argue you can never have too much footage, and it's amazing in my experience the number of times a shot which you took by accident or something that you just had as a blooper actually finds its way into the final production, just because you never know when you might need that footage. The other reason this is quite helpful is because the pace of editing in most music videos is so fast that you'll be amazed how quickly you get through the footage that you planned. Which brings us very nicely to point number 7. Let the music pace the edit. So if you're doing a dance track, I'm going to be expecting much faster cutting. If you're going to be doing a slow Adele style song, much slower cutting. Now these rules are not concrete. Sometimes it's very effective when you've got a hip hop song and the editing is very slow or non-existent.
Flashing lights, flashing lights.
Or throughout the video there might be a particular fast editing style that links to the chorus, let's say. But either way, I would expect to see specific cuts on specific beats, be it at the start of a chorus or when the bass drops. And finally, tip number 8. Don't forget to make full use of colour when you're grading your video at the very end. I've seen some videos which have been absolutely transformed as soon as the student does a colour grade. And it takes footage which looks very homemade and handy-cam and gives it a much more professional polish. The other thing to remember, of course, is that colour can be used to help create meaning in your video. So perhaps the happy chorus can be brighter in colour and the verses can be leaning towards a blue hue. Either way, it's something that you mustn't overlook. So there you go, those are some of my tips for making a music video. I don't want to be too specific with them because it's an artistic form where you should be allowed to do whatever you want. But these are some guidelines that I'd recommend just based on work that I have marked and should help you if you're really trying to get that A. As always, thanks for watching. Leave any comments below and I'll get back to you, and see you next time.